Hello and welcome to this edition of Diaspora Central Spotlight. I am Gil Ingles, and with me today, ladies and gentlemen, a wise man has once said that all successful people have one thing in common, and that one common thing that they all have is consistency. Ladies and gentlemen, the man that we have in the show today is no exception to that rule. He is someone that is given 40 years of his professional life to Kizomba. Diaspora, stand up, because today Eduardo Paim is in the building. Mr.
Hello,
Eduardo Paim,
I'm here.
welcome to Diaspora Central Spotlight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this moment that you are giving to me, this
Indeed.
opportunity to speak something for all people. First, I would like to ask you for excuse for my English. Sometimes it's not good, but I can explain and you are there to help me
Indeed.
if I find some difficult.
Indeed, indeed. And this is what we're going to do for all of our audience, that Mr. Eduardo Paim actually normally speaks in Portuguese. But I believe that we can do this interview in English, and I believe that it will be beneficial for our Anglophone audience to actually hear him speak in English, because after all, he has been doing Kizomba for 40 years. And today he's going to try to do a full interview in English for you guys. So let's see if we can go at it. Let's try to figure it out and see exactly how far we can go. Because, of course, if you do hear a few words in Portuguese here and there, do not hesitate to just excuse that, because, after all, it is the native language. Mr. Paim.
First, I would like to say my complete name. My name is Eduardo Paim Fernandes da Silva. The people know me by the name of Marshal Cambuengo Eduardo Paim, the father of Kizomba.
There you go.
It's true, we have a story of around 40 something years, because we began this movement in 1979. It's when we began, and today is something very, very, uh, very honors to know, to see the
Indeed.
development of this process. Today we can see the world, all the world, with the Kizomba, and I think that is some addition very positive in the life of every world. For me, particularly, is a very big honor. I'm feeling congratulated. I think that is the best of the sensations that we can have in the life, when you do something and this something can walk around the world,
Right.
and it's good. It's very, very nice.
Indeed.
Is maybe the reason that today we are here talking about.
Indeed, indeed. Because, I mean, after all, 40 years, it's a long time, right? But everyone knows that Eduardo Paim didn't just happen to happen. He comes from a family, he has a mother, he has a father. So, on this conversation, we're going to go back and try to put together those pieces that actually help Eduardo Paim become who Eduardo Paim has become. So let's start with the family. Give us the name of the father and the name of the mother.
Okay, I was born in 1964.
Mm.
64. So my father is Abílio Fernandes da Silva, and my mother Maria de Souza Paim. I was born in Brazzaville, and Congo Republic, because in that time Angola was in war with the system, the colonialist system, and that's why I was born there. But I think that is not so bad, because I have inside of me the Congolese culture, the Angolan culture, and some small parts of everywhere that I work. So for my music is very good to breeding that influence, that several influence, because this is Kizomba. Kizomba is a fusion.
Right.
Kizomba, we say in Portuguese, like roupa velha.
Right.
Means,
like old clothes.
Yeah, old clothes.
Yeah.
If you take something of one clothes and another, if you join,
Right.
You can have a new clothes.
Indeed.
The Kizomba is this. Kizomba is the mixing of cultures,
Right.
influences, and the story is always there to support our explanation, because my music began in Africa, but one Africa with some mixes, and I think that I did well to mix that several influence in my songs, and the result is today clear. We can see that, we can feel it, we can dance, we can. Is a culture, another culture around the music, the world music.
Indeed. He has definitely become an underground culture, both in Europe and here in the United States. Actually, in Europe is almost it's almost mainstream culture now, and here in the U.S. is not that far from becoming mainstream. So you born in Congo Brazaville, and at what age do you return to Angola? How old were you?
I went to Angola in 1974.
Okay.
1974, I was around 8-9 years. And in that moment, I really knew the Angolan culture. And I saw that that place was always my place.
It was always home for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this meeting was the most important thing that in my life happened. Because when you come from outside and you go inside, you can recognize everything, too much things. Then when I'm in Angola, I saw that this is my place. My place. One of my songs say it. Foi aqui onde aprendi a caminhar. Foi aqui onde aprendi a vida amar. It's here that I learned life and everything.
Right.
And in that moment, I understood that some responsibility was
on your shoulders.
In my shoulders.
Right.
And today, 47 years of career. Now I'm sure.
Yeah, you're sure
that I'm in my really place.
There you go. So now you're definitely sure that you are home. And I'll be very honest with you. Your music has actually defined a generation. No one born between the time of, let's say, 1960 and 1995 that does not know or understand exactly who Eduardo Paim is, who Eduardo Paim was then, and what Eduardo Paim has done for Angolan culture. One of the greatest things that I always bring up is the fact that when you put together that band SOS, which was your first band, the official first band that came out with the sound that became defined as Kizomba, we all were somewhat kind of unsure of what it was or even how to interpret it and how to understand it. We all loved it, we all liked it, but we just didn't know how to define it. So let's take a very quick break and kind of go into something that may have to do with either Kizomba or Eduardo Paim. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's go ahead and get into the first SOS band that Eduardo Paim uses as a vehicle to expose the Angolans or the entire continent at that point in time later on into Kizomba. This is Gil Ingles, and you are now tuned into Diaspora Central, and our guest today is Mr. or Maestro Eduardo Paim, speaking to us directly from Lisbon, Portugal. We will be right back.
Limbawe. Rosa baila como serpente, escreve no chão a palavra rumba. Rosa sente o balanço cadenciado e o torrar da tumba. Há quem diga que Rosa baila tão bem é porque ela fez macumba. Rosa baila e faz inveja muita quilumba. Rosa baila, Rosa baila, Rosa baila, baila, Rosa baila. Baila, baila, com feitiço que te deu a nossa que anda. Rosa, baila, tens o corpo mais bonito da nossa banda. Rosa, baila, 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 Rosita. Rosa, baila, sim, quando bailas tu ficas mais bonita. Baila.
And we are back. If you just tuned in, you now join Diaspora Central Spotlight, and our guest today is Maestro Eduardo Paim, joining us from Lisbon, Portugal, where he's currently spending a few days. Maestro, and I make my point to say Maestro.
Thank you.
I am okay with the general, I was okay with the general title, and I am okay with the martial title. But in all honesty, and this is my personal opinion, those titles don't honestly elevate you to the level where you are. You are a maestro. You have created a genre of music that makes you a maestro. So that's beyond, right? That's beyond marshals. It's beyond presidents. This is a creator of a genre of music that is now helping to internationalize the culture of a country. Of course, some people will say, well, you didn't create it, you're just an innovator. Okay, even with that, we still take it. You are the innovator of a genre of music that has now become the flag of Lusophone culture, of Portuguese-speaking culture.
You know, first, we cannot forget our originality. Before of something, we have a story with Portugal.
Indeed.
We have a story with Portugal like other countries. And from there, we can also talk about the Lusophony.
Right.
Because before the Lusophony, we must begin it to Portugal. So today we can talk about Lusophony because our family augmented.
Right.
The family is now very big.
Right.
We have story with Mozambique, with Cape Verde, with São Tomé, with Guinea, Brazil. So the family is very big. So when the family develop, something else develop too.
Okay.
So the music is one of the parts of this development. So it's very important in our work. We we bring a little bit of all of that parts, you know. The Kizomba means this,
Right.
So is a little big, a little global culture, because we have always a little bit of someone
Right.
away,
Indeed.
you
Yeah.
know.
Indeed.
Like we are near because I can go to Mozambique, Cape Verde, Saint Tomé, Guinea, Portugal. Well, Portugal, Lisbon is almost our house,
Right.
you know. And this is very important for our culture, because we can change, we can share
Right.
experience, cultures, habitudes, lots of things.
Indeed.
You know, now I'm recording one song talking about my point of view of Kizomba,
Okay.
because I know that I'm the first guilty for that story, but I think that God blessed me, because my crime is not so bad, because it's something taking happiness to everywhere.
Indeed.
So the happiness is always something that the people like.
Indeed.
And when you like something, you try to do something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And today you can see the Kizomba made Angola, made in Cape Verde, made in Guinea, made in Portugal.
Right.
In Portugal. It's very important to see that today this style of music is always inside the playlist of the music here.
Right.
Also.
Right.
Then I think that this is the result of this happiness, you know. When we are happy, we are more able to do positive things.
Right. Indeed.
So the Kizomba began really in Angola, but today is something of the world.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely become that flag that represents all Lusophone countries. And as we know, of course, before we went into a break, we were actually talking about that first band, which was SOS, right? So we kind of want to go back a little bit, and for the record, give us the names of the members of the band, and if you still remember the instruments that they played and the role that they played, and how the group kind of came about to be, if you can.
Yes, it's true. SOS was my first band. In that time, the instruments that I played was guitar, first guitar. I learned to play guitar in Cabinda in 1964, and so when I came back to Luanda, I created a little group in school, and we did the first show and the day of the educator, and that first show showed to the people that something else we had inside to present.
Yeah.
And this first group, this first band, it was not a band. It was a 3-person only. Only.
Okay.
A guitar, one bass, and harmonics.
Oh, okay. So there was a trio then.
Yeah, trio, one trio. And that trio gave the entry, represents the entry of the SOS. SOS was all really a band.
Gotcha.
With drums, percussions, with congas and everything, guitar, bass, and keyboard, voice. The keyboard in the beginning, we don't add someone to play. So I learned to play keyboard, and I was the lead guitar, singer, and
keys.
Keyboard. So, but you know, the people like too much to see me singing, playing guitar, and the keyboard also.
Right.
And then they asked for more. So the challenge began there.
Right. So who were the other members of SOS? Give us their names.
In the beginning, we was only a trio: Eduardo Paim, me, Levi Serza Marcelin. God bless him because he is not more.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. And Bruno Lara.
Okay.
After that, we accepted 2 girls for the backing vocals.
Okay.
Armandinha, Milu Sardinha.
Okay.
2 colleagues, and the group developed a little bit. A little more after, drummer, Chico Madne. He is always a producer also, alive and working nicely.
Right.
And some months later, percussionists, instruments, percussions, and a little bit more after we began the increase of the wind instruments, brasses, trumpet, trombone, saxophone, and we were almost 14 people in the stage.
Wow, 14.
Yeah, 14 people in the stage.
Now,
so it was a very big band,
right?
And with positive results, the people liked it, and we carry on.
Right.
And after that, the world called me. I came to Portugal. In Portugal, the doors all opens to me. So I began my life in Portugal.
Right.
And today I live in Portugal and in Angola.
Right.
More time in Angola, but I'm always here in Portugal because is my point of sharing.
Yeah, it's your hub.
For everywhere.
Yeah, it's your hub.
It's more easy to do this sharing from here.
There you go. Indeed.
Today the technology is very developed. Where we are is not more problem.
Indeed.
Because we have, you see, I'm here in Lisbon, you are in the United States.
Indeed.
And we are connected.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed. And with that, let's kind of take another break. Let's go into some more content by either Eduardo Paim or the original band SOS, if we can find something. But let's go into something Kizomba related. And we'll be back in a few minutes. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles and Mr. Maestro Eduardo Paim. We'll be right back.
Rosa baila, Rosa baila, baila, Rosa baila, baila, baila.
Com feitiço que te deu a nossa que anda,
Rosa baila.
Tens o corpo mais bonito da nossa banda,
Rosa baila,
baila, baila, Rosita.
Rosa baila.
Sim, quando bailas tu ficas mais bonita.
Baila. Rosa baila, Rosa baila,
baila Rosa,
baila, Rosa baila,
And we are back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into Diaspora Central Spotlight with Gil Ingles. Our guest today is Maestro Eduardo Paim. Yes, we are talking Kizomba. We talking the origin, the source. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not an interview that can be done in one sitting. No, not at all. So we segmenting this interview into portions. And on this portion, what we basically have been doing is talking about the origin of Eduardo Paim and how he got involved into music. So we're touching on some of those things that many of you may probably have heard from others. He's given us directly from himself exactly what those things are. Maestro Eduardo Paim, one question. Okay, you before we went into a break, you were talking about on how the band eventually became a band of 14 members. But give us the core members of SOS, the ones that became known as the core members of SOS. Who were they? It was Bruno Lara,
Levi Marcelino, Carlos Ferreira Cassé was the man writing in the beginning, and me. Okay. So the heart of the SOS is these 4 people that I said there.
Okay. And then, of course, you then have the other ones that complement the band and that play the different other instruments. But, of course, eventually you make that trip to Portugal, and Portugal welcomes you, and there you start your personal or solo career. And not only as a musician, also as a producer.
My story in Portugal was very, very nice. Very nice because in the beginning, I was only a producer.
Okay.
Only a producer because I produced several singers, Angolan singers like Bonga, like Raul Ouro Negro. And this situation bringed me another jobs, you know. Yeah. I worked with Tito Paris, Bana, some others Cape Verdean singers, and Mozambican singers, Brazil, and this opened the door for me because like this I was producing with people of Cassav like Jacob Desvarieux, Jean-Philippe Martelly, Géry Charbonnier. So the doors opened to me from there.
Indeed.
So for my own job is very important because it's from there that I can take experience, more inspiration, more know-how.
Yeah.
Is with this sharing that you can increase your know-how.
Indeed. Indeed. Now, like I said, here we're going to touch in things that probably you haven't spoken about in a long, long time, right? So I kind of want to go back to your infancy for a second when you were really a child. Going to school, primary school, was there anything that at that point in time already kind of led you to believe that music was your calling?
You know, I think that music is something inside me. In my 0 age to 7 age, I was only appreciator of music. But from there, my mother gave me one guitar, and the story of music began there because with this little instrument, a player instrument, I began to do my first songs.
Yeah. And there was a toy.
It was a toy, you know. Indeed. But with this toy, I could do something positive.
There you go.
But in my 9th year, I began to try to learn the conventional guitar. But in that time, I didn't guitar. I don't have guitar.
Oh, you didn't have
And
one.
it's only a dream. But in my 11th year, I knew someone in Cabinda.
Okay.
It was the rhythm guitar of the group, the band Bella Negra.
Okay.
That man taught me what I know today.
So he
You
taught.
understand?
So the man from the band Bella Negra.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who
Arcanjo
teaches.
is his name, Arcanjo.
Okay, Mr. Arcanjo teaches you gives you the formal first lessons of guitar, of a 6-string guitar.
You know, it's a very nice story there, because in the beginning, I stay in the veranda seeing Arcanjo playing, and
Okay.
I design in one piece of wood the 6 strings, and I was practicing with this piece of wood
Okay.
the fingers positions.
Mm.
And one day he said, "What do you hear with this? What with this with this wood?"
Right.
I think that is better try in a guitar. So
Right.
in guitar you can touch, you can hear, you can feel.
Right.
And you know, for the first time I could do 2 shorts nicely executed.
Wow.
And he
So
asked me, "But you know play?"
right.
No, it's my first time.
But hold on. So you went from creating a board that looked like the neck of a guitar with the frets on it into a guitar, and the first time you touched the guitar, you were able to execute 2 chords perfectly to make sense, to make Mr. Arcanjo believe that you knew how to play the guitar.
Yeah, this was the inspiration in Arcanjo to teach me. He said, no, I cannot let you there.
Wow.
In this, I must teach you something more, because I can see that you can do a lot of things after that. So he began to teach me, and almost 2 weeks, I was already playing music, world music.
Yeah.
But the very important things happened when the scholarly year finished.
Ended. Right.
My school organized one show.
Okay.
For the commemoration.
To celebrate the end of the year.
Yes,
right.
To celebrate
the school year, the end of the school year.
Yeah. So in that show, I was the number 1, because I was the most young.
Yeah, the youngest one.
The youngest one.
Yeah.
And playing nicely the guitar.
Wow.
So when you see one showroom like Cine Chiluango, is you remember Cine Chiluango?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Full of people.
Wow.
And clapping to me.
Wow.
So I said, from here, I don't want to be far away the music.
Yeah.
All days, I must be in the music.
Yeah. So at 11 years old, you finally make that decision that music is definitely something that you want to be nearby, something that you want to be close by at all times. Now, so working with a lot of names, and you're responsible for a lot of mainstream artists that Angola has today. Of course, no one can talk about it, Paulo Flores, for instance, without talking about Eduardo Paim in the history of Paulo Flores music. But of course, in Angola around that time also, choosing music as part of what you were going to do was not something normal. But we also had those individuals, either in our families or at school, that played some sort of a role in our lives, that believed in what we believed in, and somehow they taught, they kind of pushed us and said, you know, go ahead and do it, go ahead and do it. Did you have someone in your family that did that for you, that looked at you, aside from Mr. Arcanjo, of course, who was the first one? Was there a teacher or another family member, or maybe even at home, someone that kind of said, you know what, Eduardo, this is what you really should be doing, or do it, you know, kind of pushed you towards it?
Of course, I have one cousin in the music.
Okay.
My cousin is a singer. His name is Eduardo Paim.
Okay.
That man was the first Angolan man with gold disc in the colonialism time.
Wow. So during colonial times, he already had a gold record.
Yeah.
Wow.
He only two names in that moment with gold disc. The first one is Prado Paim.
Okay.
The second one is Tetalando.
Wow.
So you can see I have reasons to follow someone.
Right.
And when this someone is my family, I think that everything that I can do cannot be down.
Right.
From the normal, or the limit for me is from my cousin up.
Indeed. Indeed.
So I began this fight, and for me is very very important to have the recognizing of my cousin. Is my old is older than me, one personality very respectable, and all the country also respect that man. So today he is my fellow. This is very important.
Indeed.
My cousin is my fellow.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So shout out to Prado Paim, shout out to Arcanjo from Bela Negra, right?
Yeah, Bela Negra.
From the band
but
Bela Negra.
It's very important to say that Angola is big, and the creators are also several.
Indeed.
And we have names like Elias Jaquimoeso, Urbano de Castro, Artur Nunes, David Zé, Tino de Aquimoeso, Sofia Rosa. I'm talking only the first one,
right?
And bands like Jovens do Prenda, Os Quiesos, Neguleiros do Ritmo, Angola Ritmo, several reference and rich reference that we have.
Right.
So all of them are my know-how, because I learned too much thing with them.
Right.
So, and now I began to do, let me say you, pesquisa, one
research.
Yeah, research.
Yeah.
Because it's too much things on the past that we must bring at the present.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I know we talk a lot of times, and we kind of share those moments. Is really one of the things that to me it's very important, is to document history. And that's why, in all honesty, I appreciate the fact that you accepted to do this interview in English. And I know that it is difficult, but although difficult, people now have a true understanding in your own voice, in your own tone, of what it was like then and what it is like now, coming from you. Because, of course, we're going to do an interview in Portuguese also, which will allow us to elaborate on a lot more. But we wanted this bit in English to ensure that people knew from Eduardo Paim himself, no translation, no interpretation, what Kizomba, what the root of Kizomba, where the heart of Kizomba, and where his heart, mind, and soul was at the time when he innovates this hybrid, which is important to mention here that you yourself mentioned it to be hybrid, okay? Because a lot of people try to create tangents to no, Kizomba is hybrid. And we will get into a lot more detail as part of this research that you are making and that I'm also making to fully understand, and other scholars also are making to fully understand the Angolan sound in the future. But let me get back into the interview real quick, because there are a couple of other two things that I kind of want to touch on before we let you go. One of the things is schools that you went to in Angola, if you still remember, just give it to us the names of the schools that you went to, and if there was any teacher that in your opinion is someone that definitely left let's say an impression on you, then who was that teacher?
I remember always one teacher that I had in 1964, Professora Filomena. Because in that time I was divided, because French and Portuguese, the adaptation was not so easy. And that teacher, my Filomena teacher, was not a teacher, but something like teacher, mother, friends, because he learned me, he taught me a lot of things. Today I speak very nice Portuguese because
she taught you.
She taught me, and what I am like a man is something that I learned at home, but Professora Filomena was the other mother outside teaching me. Right. So after that, I too much teachers like Professora Fernanda. That teacher is the responsible of a little English that I can today talk.
There you go.
Because she taught me because English is not like Portuguese. Portuguese, you speak tenses, you know,
right?
But in English, you must transpose the idea.
Indeed.
You do the arrangement of the tenses
right.
by the idea.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And it's not too much right. Think in Portuguese and translate in English.
Indeed.
You must be careful to don't talk.
Indeed.
Because the translation is not so parallel.
Indeed.
You must.
It's never literary. Indeed.
Exactly.
Indeed.
So, but I have too much teachers, not
too many
teachers in this life.
Yeah.
Because we are always learning. In my story, I have reference like Bonga, Barcelos de Carvalho, like Valdemar Basto, all people that I have directly contact.
Indeed.
Direct contact.
Yeah.
Today Valdemar is not more there,
right?
But I can't forget what I learned with him and several people like Raul Ouro Negro. I was also his musician in my first time in Portugal, and the relation that I have also, the relationship that I have with several Portuguese artists and musicians.
Right.
So it's what I can tell you about the teachers of my life.
Indeed. No, and that is definitely great. Now, one thing, because Diaspora Central Spotlight is about inspirations and also aspirations. What is it that you aspire also to do? So as you look today at your career, you are approaching the 50th year of your professional career. In your opinion, right, what or who else do you think you need or you wish to work with musically?
several people, you
Okay.
know. In this life, I had the chance to work with Papa Wemba,
Mm-hmm.
with Jacob de Varieux,
Yeah.
with Jean-Philippe Martelly,
Mm-hmm.
but I would like to know personally Salif Keita,
Mm-hmm.
Youssou,
Mm.
because I think that I have something to do with them.
There you go. Yeah.
What is missing is the contact,
Okay.
the meeting.
Yeah.
I know, I can feel that when we will be together, we will do things and
Okay.
good things.
Yeah.
I
Indeed.
believe that.
Indeed. And that's the most important thing. Already have that feeling, that knowing that once that meeting happens, something is going to happen. So if you are out there and you do have the contacts of either Salif Keita or Yosundur, you know that Eduardo Paim is definitely looking into getting with them to create something. And I know that it is possible. After all, it is one Africa, and the sound of Africa is something universal.
I believe that.
Indeed. Indeed. So, Maestro Eduardo Paim, is there anything else that you would like to share that I may not touched on this portion of our interview?
No, first I want to show you my happiness to have this opportunity today.
Thank you.
And I would like only to increase that I'm able. I'm able for something, and I would like to give my cooperation for everything that you need.
Indeed.
Talking about Kizomba, like music, like the dance, because sometimes I have been to see some confusion,
Yes.
because some people are not talking about what I know,
Yes.
what the Angolans know,
Yes.
what the people with that culture inside know.
Yes.
For them is a business.
Indeed.
And sometimes they talk something very wrong.
Indeed.
And I would like to give my contribution to bring the truth.
Indeed.
And I'm not the only person who can do it. Yes. I think that they must search nice and find the specific people who can talk about that. I can help if you want.
Indeed. And with that in mind, actually, that takes us into another portion of what we need to, something that I need to mention. In Houston, Texas, there will be an international festival of Angolan culture that is being put together by an organization called Balumuka, and is codenamed currently as Balumuka Fest. And what this festival has the purpose of doing is exactly what you have just mentioned, is to actually bring in the authenticity of what Kizomba, of what Angolan culture really is, because through all this internationalization of the dance, a lot of actual facts and and I say facts, not alternate facts, no, a lot of facts have been lost, are being discarded to accommodate people's willingness to probably get market, monetize, and whatsoever. So to ensure that we bring authenticity back and that we put it there. For those who are interested in taking the authenticity and honestly going with it, fine. For those who still choose to take the alternate or alternative facts, it's also up to them. But at least the authenticity or the authentic things that Angolan believe to be part of their culture will be put out there. Maestro Eduardo Paim, it's been great pleasure. Thank you so much. We definitely look forward into talking to you the next time, and that time will be in Portuguese, so we'll be able to flow a lot more. And we hope to see you here in November also, joining us just to appreciate the element of what that Balumuka Fest will be like. Diaspora Central invites you to come and join us at our table as our guest of honor.
And of course, for you,
Yes.
my young brother Gil Ingles.
Thank you, sir.
For all the Kizomba lovers and for all the people appreciating the African culture, I'm always here for all of you.
All right, thank you very much. And you heard it from the maestro himself. If you are trying to do anything that it is authentic related to Kizomba, of course, you can always get in touch with them. And in case you're unable to remember, you can always reach us here at Diaspora Central, and we will definitely facilitate your contact with them. At the end of the day, my friends, it's about consistency, and it's about us ensuring that there will be no appropriation of Kizomba.
Thank you so much.
Indeed.
And like I say, every time is a revolutionary, sentimental feeling. Lembawe.
Lembawe. And you guys heard it from the maestro himself. So until next time, one of his favorite lines in Portuguese is Camarão que dorme, a onda leva. Atenção, que a Kizomba pode bazar se o angolano dormir. Until next time, peace.